Hey, what is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video. So today we got a bit of news coming out from Toei regarding a Kamen Rider Revice assistant producer. As you can see here what it says in the title. This is, of course, article from Bounding into Comics. If you guys want to go ahead and read it for yourselves, link, as always, will be in the description below. But it says here, Kamen Rider Revice assistant producer accuses Toei of harassment and employee mistreatment. So we'll just go ahead and get into it. Here it says, Toei Company Ltd., the Japanese production company behind such popular series as Kamen Rider and Super Sentai, has been accused by a current employee of fostering an unfair and safe work environment, with offenses ranging from disputes over rightfully owed pay to outright harassment. So pretty serious claim there with that. Then it says here, in a post shared to Sugo Support Union on November 12th, asking for help regarding her complaints, the employee, a woman currently working as an assistant producer on Kamen Rider Revice, whose further identity has thus been withheld, explained that she had decided to join the Sugo Support Union, an individually affiliated labor union, in order to make demands and collectively bargain with Toei. Listening to the current situation and the stories of the seniors who had left the field, I realized this was not an issue that affected only me, but a problem that has been prevalent in the company for a long time and has been left untouched, wrote the employee, as per a translation of her original post provided by Tokusatsu Network. Additionally, the lack of legal compliance has been exposed on shows and hero shows, and questions have been raised on social media. Interesting. One such problem promulgated by Toei, according to the employee, concerned the company's overtime pay system, which currently includes 45 hours of overtime per month with no compensation. Ooh. Yeah, see, not good, right? When you think about really anywhere, if you're putting in time and not getting paid what you should, well, presumably what you deserve to be paid, that's one thing that is always going to be contentious with people, right? Never mess with people's money. You know what I mean? Pay what you owe them, pay what they're working for, pay them what they're worth. In addition to that, the head of Human Resources Department explained to us that the reason Toei introduced the fixed overtime system was because we cannot control the hours in our work as producers. This is not in the nature of overtime pay, noted the AP. Currently, we are demanding that Toei admit that this fixed overtime system is invalid. So we know how things go, right, on these productions. I mean, we hear the stories all the time, how long shooting and all the time that goes into these productions, how, especially when people are on set, recording all this stuff. I mean, these actors, I'm pretty sure it's the same as here, right? They could have anywhere from 14 plus work hours a day, you know what I mean? And really back to back, like 7 days a week. If you guys have seen Henshin Time, you've seen the interviews I've had with some of the past guests, and if you've seen any of those interviews in full, which you have access to if you're a patron, I've put them up on Patreon. But a lot of times you'll hear them talk about the long hours they had to work back to back to back. Now, of course, this is a producer on the show. Their role is going to be a little bit more behind the camera as opposed to in front. It's not, what the actors and stunt people have to do in front of the camera, but I would imagine there's still long hours that they're putting in as well, being behind the camera, making sure that things are going by the book, that things are happening the way they should be happening. So we move on here. It says, on the topic of sexual harassment, the Kamen Rider AP alleged that she had been harassed by two staff members on the set. The first was a freelance staff member in his 60s, she recalled. We exchanged Line, a messaging app for business purposes, and he persistently contacted me. When I ignored his messages and left him on read, he called me. On a cold winter day, he even held my hand. Interesting. When I consulted Toei's internal hotline, they were unable to give me a warning from within the company because it's not a criminal offense, and since he was a freelance staff, not an actual Toei staff, they couldn't do anything. The AP added, they ended up putting a vague notice in the staff room and called it a day. So, I mean, grabbing, obviously we know Japan's culture when it comes, and their laws when it comes to certain thing. I think it would be fair to say they're a little bit behind the times when it comes to certain things regarding females in the workplace and things like that. I think that would be fair to say, without getting too much into that. But when you hear about a situation like this, obviously, if it were here in America, touching somebody's hand, that probably would get you fired. Making any kind of unwanted contact with somebody would probably, I won't say probably, but mostly be it would mostly be a fireable offense in just about anywhere you would go to, or any company you would be a part of here. Now, I don't know, because we don't see any specifics here that are said in regards to what was in these messages, right? They could have been very harassing. They could have been very charged messages, if you know what I mean. We don't know what was in those messages per se, but obviously, if the person giving you their contact to whatever social media app they use is strictly for business purposes, and you're trying to court them or get them to go on a date, I mean, that would be a little bit. I won't say it would be a little bit. I mean, obviously, that's when you're crossing into the territory of probably harassing. And the thing is, with Japanese culture, I know that a lot of them, they don't want to be rude for whatever reason to other people, to tell people how it is, because they don't want to be rude and whatnot. Maybe she did. Maybe she let them know nicely, like, hey, look, don't contact me here unless it's for business-related reasons. I don't know. Again, we don't know what those messages said, but of course, the unwanted contact, though, right? We know that would probably be something that would get you ixnayed from a company over here really quick. So, moving on. The second, according to the employee, was by a freelance assistant director with the excuse he called direction. He called me in just us two, made me stand in a camera test where we stared at each other, and ordered me to sit with him on the location bus, she said. When I talked to my supervisor about it, he held an oppressive attitude against me. Later, when I met him again in another filming, he harassed me by not making eye contact, not giving me necessary information, overly reprimanding me. So this one, hard to say, right? I mean, again, I feel like when you see this, right, this person saying this, he made me stand in the camera test, we just stared at each other. What more did that entail? Because I feel like there's more to this story than what we're getting here. And maybe when the article was being translated, maybe there was some things that were left out. Or maybe, again, this is an instance where maybe the person doesn't want to get into details because maybe there's some kind of investigation going on. Maybe they're just trying to be polite to not ruin this person. I don't know. It's hard to say because, again, with Japanese culture, that's something that seems that also seems very prevalent, right? Is that nobody wants to burden other people, and they're overly polite. There's not too much bluntness that happens between people. So I don't know if this is done. I feel like there's more. I just feel like if you're making these kind of claims, there has to be more than just this, than him just asking you to sit on a bus location and just staring at each other. I mean, granted, that could have some potential undertones, but it's really hard to say. Like, how do you prove, that that's really harassment? I mean, if anything, I would think that you could, again, maybe there was some other discussions that were happening there. Maybe this was another person on the set that was trying to court her, and she's not saying that. She's not, maybe that's the detail that's being left out here. I don't know. Which, again, if that was the case, right, which I would love to get some real clarification on and have this be a little bit more specified. If that was the case, if this was another instance where somebody's trying to court her and she's told him, like, hey, I just want to work, this, that, or the other. I'm not interested in dating. Please, let's just do work. And this person is giving them a hard time after the fact because they got rebuffed by this woman. That's wrong, obviously, and that shouldn't happen in any workplace. So when I became an AP for Kamen Rider Revice, I explained the situation to the producer and told him that if given the choice, I would remove myself from the staff, she continued. The producer reacted with, "You're lucky to be popular in such a short period of time. I would end up seeing my two harassers and working with them on set, mentally suffering." Interesting. Further, the anonymous employee described an environment of constant overworking as asserting during the production of Revice, it was common to work more than 13 hours a day. The overtime hours exceeded the Karaoshi line, official measure of excessive hours overtime per month. However, after complaining to her producer, she found that essentially nothing changed. Faced with the decision to either keep working and collapse or give up now, the AP stated that she continued to work the same hours I had been working, but my strength did not last for a month, so I decided to temporarily leave because of adjustment disorder. And coincidentally, Toei Limited declared its health management policy to the outside world this month, she concluded. So there you have it. Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's more to this story than what we know here. I feel like there's stuff that's being left out. Again, I feel like maybe this was an instance, and again, this is just me speculating. I don't know this for a fact. I feel that maybe there was more of an instance of maybe people tried to date her and she let them down, and when she let them down, they didn't take too kindly to that and kind of made things difficult for her. That would make sense. But if it's literally just this stuff on the surface, it's not all that bad, right? This person, the worst that happened to her seems that her hand was held without her maybe wanting that physical contact. But again, I don't, that's not something, I would assume that, like she said, it's not something that's criminal in Japan. I would assume it would be too criminal over here either, depending on how it is that you're doing it. If you're yanking it and grabbing it and squeezing it and hurting it, maybe. But just, I don't know. You know what I mean? I guess it would depend on what laws and what state you're in. But it would be something, again, that I could see you potentially getting fired for, right? Unwanted physical contact with somebody else is probably something that, at the very least, if you don't get fired for it, you know, for something like that, you would be heavily reprimanded, you know, potentially have your job be put on the line. I don't know. I guess it just really depends on the company. I know there's some companies that just have no tolerance for any of that, right? They want no shenanigans whatsoever because they don't want people to sue them after the fact, right? So I don't know. I guess it would depend company per company, but I would think most companies would probably either heavily reprimand that or maybe even terminate a person for that. I would say probably a majority of companies here would do that are big corporations. They would probably be like, hey, you know, this person didn't want to be touched, and you made an unwanted, you basically made unwanted contact with them against their will or whatnot, and you know, we gotta let you go. We can't have that because we have a no tolerance policy for that. But this is a strange story, like I said, and I only say that because I feel like there's more to it. I'm not saying that this woman's lying by any measure. Not what I'm saying at all. I'm not saying that she made this whole thing up and she's just trying to look for a payday or anything like that. I don't know. All I'm saying is, I feel like there's more details here. There should be. I feel like there's more details here. There should be more to the story than what we're actually getting. Or that's what I feel. Like I said, I feel there's more to it than what we know here on the surface. Like I said, if any of this, if she was being punished for essentially just not dating coworkers or reciprocating their advances towards her, then absolutely that's wrong on their part, and they shouldn't be doing that. They shouldn't be making her job harder and making her feel uncomfortable because she potentially rejected them. If that's what's happening, that's wrong, and they should be reprimanded, or whatever the company feels they need to do. If they feel they need to go as fire them, whatever. But yeah, I don't know. Where I land on this story, I feel like, again, there's something, there's a bit more missing to it, but let me know what you guys think about it. Let me know in the comment section below. And until next time, y'all know how it goes. The hunt continues.